As leaders, and you are all leaders in this room, it's so important that we think about the gravity of our leadership. As leaders, we can either create a gravitational pull where people want to come in towards us and be a part of us and be with us and belong, or we can create a gravitational push where we push people away through the way that we lead, the way that we communicate. And so it's so important, especially in the year 2022, that we're thinking about how can we create that place of belonging. In where I come from in New Zealand, and you may have seen and probably hear from the accent, we have a word called whakapapa. And whakapapa is a word that means an unbroken chain from our ancestors right through to now and the future. And as leaders, it's important that we create a place of belonging, that whakapapa, and we think about that unbroken chain being every single person that's been in the company or team you've worked with in the past, to those who are here now. The DNA is every single person and what they bring to create that collective culture. And so we have such power as leaders in society, whether it be community groups or whether we're in education institutions or whether we are leading Fortune 100 companies, or we may even just be leading small teams in our company as an HR leader or something similar, that we are conscious of it. And I want you to and welcome Giddy, it's lovely to have you here, thanks for coming along, to think about here with the gravity of leadership that we have, when we look at leaders, we need to have this relentless approach. Okay, we can't just cruise through and hope that things are going to happen. We need to be relentless in our pursuit of something. But we need to make sure we do that without being ruthless and reckless. Let me give you an example. Who followed the Australian Open tennis? Anyone watch the tennis? A couple of you? All right, but I'm sure you know the likes of Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal and Novak Djokovic. Okay, if we think about all three of them, they're relentless in their pursuit of excellence. They all had won 20 Grand Slam titles, and obviously Rafa Nadal has now got one up on them. But if we think about the three different personalities there, we've got someone like a Roger Federer who is relentless, but he's not ruthless or reckless in the way that he goes about his business. He was when he was younger. He used to throw tennis rackets and throw tantrums, and he used to be very ruthless and at times very reckless in his own regard or with other people. But then you have someone like Rafa Nadal, who is very relentless, but at times he's quite ruthless in the way that he always has a routine that kind of annoys people. But he's not reckless. He's not a reckless. But then we have Novak Djokovic. Right, very relentless. Like when it comes to high performers and his attention to detail to be the best in the world, he has amazing teams. He has caravans that follow him with ice baths and all sorts of people that are ensuring that he's at his best game. But he is ruthless. He doesn't care whose toes he steps on, which government he annoys, which people he puts offside. And at times, very reckless in his disregard for humanity and for other people and how his behavior may affect other people. Now we also see this type of thing in business. If we think about Indra Nooyi, the former PepsiCo CEO and who is now on the board of Amazon, extremely relentless in her pursuit of bringing people together, that place of belonging and connectedness. I'm not sure if you know, but she makes a point of, when she was working there, to go and visit the parents of every single executive. She wanted to go and meet them and thank them for the beautiful children that they had helped grow and nurture and develop to be up there working in PepsiCo. But she never showed a sign of ruthlessness or recklessness. However, if we look at someone like, Steve Jobs, if you think about and you hear some of the stories, he was extremely relentless, ruthless in his approach, and at times, it's not written in the books, But if you actually know the history, he is actually very, very reckless with his teams. Okay, so there's different examples. But my question to you is, how can you be relentless in your pursuit of excellence, in your pursuit of giving value to the world, in your pursuit of ensuring that your team are able to produce great things without going past that and being ruthless and reckless? Now, if we look at these things here, relentless is that non-stop commitment. It's that finding that passion, that deep desire to go further and make sure that we can produce the results, that we can make a difference. If we look at ruthless, it's about taking no prisoners when we are on our relentless. All right, it's that ruthless approach that we will do everything, and even in yourself. If we think about relentless, relentless is like that place of making sure that we show up, that we are recovered, that we bring the energy we need, that we are high performing, but we don't go to that ruthless aspect of working 80 hours a week for 302 days straight, and like me, flatlining in hospital. Because you're no good to anyone when you're not there. You're no good to anyone when you're tired and fatigued and stressed and reactive rather than proactive. And in that setting, you start to take, it's kind of that approach of, I'm going 100 miles an hour, come along with me, otherwise you're on your own. To then the recklessness of being careless of the consequences. So you'll do whatever it takes to achieve those goals, but you don't care if the risks go beyond what is legal or what is appropriate. So the world is shifting. And I'd like you to think about how much of the gravity of your leadership you're able to impart on the people you're with to create a gravitational pull that makes a difference. I want you to think as leaders here and in your roles about how you manage your energy. How do you manage your energy on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and even career basis? Are you someone that just keeps going, and then when Christmas comes, you kind of fall in a heap and probably end up sick like we do? Or are you someone that thinks about how can you manage energy over time and think about scheduling your recovery so you can perform at your best? One of my most amazing friends, her name is Anne Gripper, she does something incredible. She has planned her role so that she goes into a role for 5 years, has a whole entire year off, has done it 4 cycles now. One of them, she did an MBA in Switzerland. Another one, she cycled the world. Another year off, she started a charitable foundation. Very clever. It means every time she turns up for a new role, she's at her best. She brings her best energy, her best self for that team for 5 years, and then is quite happily to pass over the keys to someone else and take a break and recharge. Now, we may not always be in that position, but what if you set the intention of 5 years' time, I'm going to have a year off? I bet you'll be able to create an environment and create enough money and resources to be able to do that. You'll also then build out your team so they have the capability to be able to perform rather than relying on you as a leader in your role, in your position. I want you to, I'm just going to go a little bit micro here with energy management as a leader. Now, when you look at people in the room and you think, oh, that person is so calm and composed and they seem to have some aura and charisma about them, what is it? What is that thing that gives them the greatest influence in the room, the greatest power? They're the people that walk in and people automatically see them and sit up and take notice. It's a really interesting thing. What is it? One of those key things I'm going to show you now is all about how you can lower your pulse. Now, if you put heart rate monitors on a group of people in a room who are making decisions, in most cases, the person, unless they have a medical issue, the person who is able to have the greatest influence and control the power of that room is the one who has the lowest heart rate. So how can you lower your pulse, which then means your body your hormones are able to calm down, your stress is able to calm down. How can you do that? Does anyone take a guess? How do you easily lower your pulse? Breathing.
I was going to say wine.
Wine's pretty good too. Wine's pretty good too. So by the power of our breathing and our breath control, we can lower our pulse. And what happens in the room is if I start breathing high and really fast, you're all going to get anxious. You're all going to start breathing faster. But if I lower my breath rate and go deeper through my belly button, you're all going to start to calm down. And the result of that is your pulse lowers. And as a result of that, you get to manage the energy of yourself, the people you are communicating with, and the energy in the room. That is one easy step to have greater influence and calming ability on your team. I want you to think about how you can manage your energy and the gravity of your leadership in 2022.